So the final section of this course is going to cover sample feedback, which essentially is a way for you to connect your quality analysis, the work that you do at the cupping table, with the person on the other side of the equation, whether it's a producer, a supply partner, an exporter, an importer, or even all the way back to the farmer. Each of these individuals and organizations have an important role to play, and being able to communicate effectively with them is an important part of completing this feedback loop. Let's start by examining a little bit about sample types so that we understand exactly the context when we begin this communication process. There are a couple of different sample types that are important to understand. The first, in fact, is called a type sample. And for a type sample, generally what we're talking about is the kind of sample that's representative of what a producer might be able to offer, but isn't actually representative of real coffee that's available for purchase. This is often used as a way to introduce a relationship. Perhaps a new supplier might provide a type sample to a potential roaster or buyer, and they might say, this is the kind of coffee that we expect to be able to supply you in the future. The opposite of a type sample might be a stock lot sample, which is in fact a representative sample of an actual defined quantity of coffee that's located in a specific location. Usually a warehouse somewhere, usually denoted by the number of bags that would be in 60 or sometimes 69 or 70 kg increments. Stock lot samples can be used for many purposes. It could be a quality control sample that is representative of a full lot, or it could be perhaps an offered sample that's sent to a roaster or buyer as a way to begin a purchasing conversation. Offered samples are distinct from pre-shipment samples in that pre-shipment samples are in fact final and prepared for export and usually have a contract in place prior to sampling, whereas an offered sample is still a new introduction in some ways to the buyer or the roaster, but it does in fact represent coffee that's available to purchase, and a contract could be drawn once that offered sample is cupped, with no need for a pre-shipment in some cases. Pre-shipment samples act as a fail-safe for both parties involved in the sale, showing that the pre-shipment sample matches the original quality of the offered sample, which might have been hand-milled before it was in fact sent through the dry mill for final preparation for export. The pre-shipment sample is also a final check before the coffee is loaded onto a boat and shipped overseas. It's that final step of approval before the next piece of logistics and supply chain movement begins. By understanding what type of sample we're working with, both parties involved in the conversation have a better understanding of what exactly the context of the conversation is. For example, if a type sample is cupped, then the person doing the cupping and quality analysis can simply reply to the supplier that this is in fact something close to what we'd be looking for if we started working with you in the future, or no, this doesn't quite meet our quality control guidelines. If an offer sample is being cupped, the person doing the quality analysis might want to provide detailed feedback on approvals and denials of that particular coffee. This can help provide context for the supplier of what might be a better option in the future if the coffee doesn't meet quality control standards. If it does, providing useful feedback can help to continue that relationship into the future by setting good expectations of what's approvable. For pre-shipment sample approvals, the evaluator might not need to provide any context at all other than a simple approved to get the coffee moving. However, if a pre-shipment sample is declined, usually there's a need for a broader conversation about how to replace that sample with a better one, or how to fix the problem with the current offered lot, because usually there's already a contract in place for a sale at that time.